Let's begin with the global markets. Chinese stocks closed lower on Wednesday, with the benchmark Shanghai Composite Index down 0.17%. Hong Kong stocks went up 0.64%. The 225 issue Nikkei stock average shed 0.31%. The US dollar fell against most major currencies on Tuesday as investors were digesting the latest economic data from the country. Oil prices ended higher on Tuesday as government data showed US oil production expected to decline next year. Gold futures on the COMEX division of the New York Mercantile Exchange settled with a modest gain for a second straight session Tuesday as US dollar weakened and equities fell. Now here's the latest of the US stocks from our correspondent Wang Wen in New York.
Okay, let's take a look at U.S. stocks market. U.S. stocks closed mixed on Tuesday as investors digested a batch of economic data and waited for speeches from Fed officials. The number of job openings decreased to 5.7 million on the last business day of May, the Labor Department said Tuesday. Over the month, hires increased to 5.5 million and separations increased to 5.3 million. Total inventories of merchant wholesalers were $593.9 billion at the end of May, up 0.4% from the revised April level, according to the Commerce Department. It was the biggest gain since December last year. In corporate news, Amazon launched its third annual Prime Day sales, which will last for 30 hours and feature thousands of lightning deals for Prime subscribers. This is Wang Wen reporting from New York Stock Exchange.
Thank you very much. Now turning to agriculture futures. Here's Joe Vaklovic in Chicago with the latest.
This is Joe Vaklovic from CME Group here in Chicago. Kind of an interesting day in the soybean market here on Tuesday. On Monday night, the market opened sharply higher following a bullish crop progress report from USDA. Early this morning, we had some rain systems pop up over Nebraska, parts of Iowa. They were kind of unexpected, and as a result of that, the soybean market leaked lower and traded sharply lower at one point here on Tuesday morning. Late in the day, the market rallied back and ultimately finished the day higher, so kind of an interesting back-and-forth type trade here. Overall, the futures market has rallied more than $1.30 after bottoming on June 23rd. I think you've got a combination of factors at play here. Again, Joe Vaklovic from CME Group here in Chicago.
Thank you, Joe, and I'll keep you updated on the daily agriculture futures. U.S. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is hopeful Congress can vote on raising the debt limit before lawmakers break for the August recess. Speaking Tuesday, McConnell said the debt level must be raised, and that ideally the matter could be dealt with before the summer recess. The Senate's August recess has already been pushed back by 2 weeks to give lawmakers more time to work on important legislative items, including repealing and replacing Obamacare. However, Republicans and Democrats remain in disagreement over spending plans. Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer has warned it would be very hard for Democrats to back raising the debt limit if it was tied to tax cuts for high-income individuals. The debt limit is the maximum amount of debt that the Treasury can issue to the public and to the other federal agencies. Currently, this stands at $19.9 trillion. The U.S. government already reached this limit on March the 15th. Since then, the U.S. Treasury has reverted to bookkeeping maneuvers in order to continue financing the government and to buy more time. The U.S. Federal Reserve could start reducing its $4.5 trillion balance sheet soon. That's according to the Fed governor, who said she is also concerned by the low inflation. The governor made remarks in a speech on Tuesday while expressing her concerns about the low inflation in recent months. She said, quote, "If the data continues to confirm a strong labor market and firming economic activity, I believe it would be appropriate soon to commence the gradual and predictable process of allowing the balance sheet to run off." In its June meeting, the Fed again raised its interest rate and announced a plan to shrink its balance sheet. After the meeting, Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen said the central bank would start to reduce its balance sheet if the economy performed in line with expectations. Market analysts say the Fed could start reducing the balance sheet as early as September. In her speech, the governor also pointed out that interest rate hikes may have a greater impact on currency exchange rates than balance sheet reductions. Fed officials project one more rate hike this year. British politicians took to Parliament on Tuesday to debate the UK's exit from the EU. Prominent Brexit campaigners used the chance to send a defiant message to Brussels, as well as deploy some colorful English phrases. In the debate, British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson sent a strong message to Brexit negotiators in Brussels. He said if they want Britain to pay an exorbitant fee for leaving the European Union, they will have to whistle for the money. The phrase is a colonial English way of saying we won't be paying a penny. In another choice use of English, leading conservative Brexiteer Jacob Rees-Mogg reacted to an interview in which EU negotiations said they would not accept a Brexit deal on any terms. Addressing another politician, Rees-Mogg said, quote, "Does he share my view that what is sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander?" Translated, it means if Brussels won't accept a deal at any price, neither will Britain. Although Brussels has not set an exit fee for Britain, media reports have speculated it could run as high as $77 billion. The debate comes as the UK is now 3 months into a 2-year negotiating period. Britain tries to strike terms and tie loose ends before exiting the EU in 2019. Finance ministers of the 19-country Eurozone have met to adopt a more appropriate phrase to describe its better-than-expected economic performance.
The Eurogroup chief on Monday said the discussion stemmed from the fact that finance ministers have seen 16 consecutive quarters of growth in a single currency zone. They were scheduled to take fiscal stance for next year. He said based on a performance, both the European Commission and the European Fiscal Board have advised a broadly neutral stance. The chief said the economic situation will be taken into consideration when finance ministers prepare national budgetary plans.
The Boa Forum for Asia has kicked off in Bangkok. The convention is looking for greater regional economic integration under the theme Asian Regional Cooperation, New Challenges, New Approach.
Around 350 representatives from 13 countries and regions are gathering in the Thai capital, discussing free trade, economic transition, and shrinking international investment. In the opening ceremony, Vice Chairman of the forum Zeng Peiyan said that regional cooperation could be a magic wand to help Asia overcome increasing anti-globalization. He said the region has been struggling with internal reforms, livelihood issues, and economic transition. Thailand's former Deputy Prime Minister said that infrastructure has brought fast economic growth to the region, and that integration could serve as Asia's new engine. Large schemes, such as the Belt and Road Initiative, Thailand's proposed Eastern Economic Corridor project, have already started to increase capacity and promote regional trade. Growth for the region is expected to edge up this year to 5.5%, up from 5.3% in 2016. Growth will remain strong at 5.4% in 2018, at around double the amount predicted for the US or the EU.
The global spending on clean energy hit a record high in 2016. That's according to a report released by the International Energy Agency. The International Energy Agency report shows spending on energy decreased for the second year in a row by 12%, but the share of clean energy spending reached 43% of total supply investment. The report says that for the first time, spending on the electricity sector exceeded the combined spending on oil, gas, and coal. China, the world's largest energy investor, saw a 25% decrease in coal-fired power investment last year. China is now increasingly driven by clean electricity generation and networks, as well as energy efficiency investment. In the U.S., investment in oil and gas also fell sharply, accounting for 16% of the global spending. India became the fastest-growing major energy investment market, with spending up 7%. The IEA's report suggests investment decisions are important for maintaining energy security and meeting environmental goals. Fatih Birol, the International Energy Agency's executive director, has praised China's recent deep-sea extraction of combustible ice. The director praised China's pioneering research in the field of combustible ice extraction, as well as others, saying China takes once again the leadership. China completed a 60-day trial of gas hydrate mining in the South China Sea on Sunday. The mining of the gas, also known as combustible ice, marks a breakthrough in clean energy resources. The exploration reportedly produced over 300,000 cubic meters of gas, mainly methane. On average, over 5,000 cubic meters of high-purity gas were extracted daily. The highest output for one day was 35,000 cubic meters. He said the natural gas industry is now undergoing transformation, with more and more unconventional gas being part of the total gas mix. The director discussed the ongoing research on methane hydrate by China, Japan, and others, saying it is not a technology for today, but maybe for tomorrow. China began its combustible ice research in 1998. 1 cubic meter of combustible ice, a kind of natural gas hydrate, is equivalent to 164 cubic meters of regular natural gas. Egypt has signed a deal with a local investment fund as a part of a multi-million-dollar program to help entrepreneurs.
Flat 6 Labs is a Cairo-based regional startup accelerator program aiming to invest in entrepreneurs with cutting-edge ideas. On Tuesday, Saad Nasra, the Minister of Investment and International Cooperation, signed a $560,000 deal backing the fund.
We funded over 100 companies over the last few years. We've always believed that this was a very viable model, and now it's good to see that other people are coming around and becoming more interested in investing. The IFC has invested in this fund. The Egypt Enterprise Fund has invested in this fund. And we're hoping with the ministry and this new company's investment, we'll be able to really grow this, promote entrepreneurship in Egypt, and we will be talking about several other promotions of entrepreneurship programs around the region in various governorates. We're hoping that we'll be doing 6 governorates by the end of the year and launching programs all around Egypt.
Nasra said the agreement will run in cooperation with the International Funding Institution, which is offering $2 million to the program, and the Egyptian American Fund for Leading Businesses.
And turning to South Korea, where new government data on Wednesday shows youth unemployment to be on the rise.
According to Statistics Korea, the unemployment rate came in at 3.8% in June, up 0.2 percentage points from a year earlier. The jobless rate among those aged 15 to 29 gained 0.2 percentage points since last year to hit 10.5% last month. The figure is the highest ever for June figure, compiled by the agency. The number of those out of work hit 1,069,000 in June, up 65,000 from a year earlier. Wednesday's higher jobless rate came amid slowing employment, with companies refraining from taking on fresh college graduates amid economic uncertainty. South Korea's tourism industry has witnessed a sharp drop in visitors. The Korea Tourism Organization predicted there could be 4.7 million fewer foreign tourists this year than in 2016, a drop of about 27%. It said tourist numbers into the country saw double-digit growth in the first 2 months of the year, but have declined every month since then. May was particularly bad, with arrivals falling 34.5% against a year ago. Tourism has largely been hit by China's reaction to Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD, system. Last year, Chinese visitors made up about 47% of all South Korea's tourists.
The Belt and Road Initiative is aimed at increasing links between China and Europe and beyond along the ancient trade routes. It has already been bringing new opportunities for countries and regions involved. Officials from different EU countries spoke to CNC about their take on the Belt and Road Initiative.
Latvia is turning its attention to the Belt and Road Initiative and is already benefiting from it. That is according to Latvia's State Secretary for Foreign Affairs. He believes the Belt and Road Initiative will keep the China-EU relationship strategic and strong.
We have had a double of Chinese tourists, for instance, to Latvia last year. Number of Chinese students have doubled as well. And we have seen new investments, real investments coming from China. It's not just trade, just retail, but Chinese business people coming with some manufacturing, with some production.
He also said both sides need to engage in more dialogues to boost mutual understanding.
We have to have more talks on investment protection agreement. We have to deal more on standardization issues, how to ensure that we have this level playing field for our businesses as well.
Europe and Asia's historic links have had significant trade and cultural implications for both regions. Chancellor of the Chamber of Commerce in Hamburg says the initiative's better and faster transport connections should increase trade investment flow between China and Europe. He said connectivity across Eurasia dates back centuries, but was cut off due to wars. He added today there is a revival of those past relations.
If I take the example of the Hamburg port, for example, every third container we deal in our port is dealt with China. We have already now 7 trains per week going from Hamburg to Shenzhen and Shanghai. So we are coming back to a stage that we had already in the Middle Ages. And it's a big, big opportunity for all countries in between and the business sectors. And we as Chambers of Commerce, I'm a representative of the Chamber of Commerce, we are working closely together with our friends to develop these business opportunities in the future.
He was optimistic about the increasing connectivity, saying the future of the China-EU relations is bright.
It's a young plant and we have to put a lot of water on this, and we have to see, is this really a credible approach, and we have to test this. If we come to legal questions, to questions of the level playing field, of patent protection. So these are all the concrete questions that we have to deal with if we want to approach a sort of a common market in many, many years ahead.
Pino Mussolino, president of the North Adriatic Seaport Authority, is responsible for several major Italian ports. He told CNC the initiative is opening gateway for trade between the Far East and Europe through the best and most convenient routes. Mussolino said there is an opportunity for those Italian ports to attract the Chinese investors and businesses.
If we can move these assets together with implementing a more efficient supply chain that is connecting the port of departures or the place of departures in China or in the Far East with the port of destinations and place of destinations in Europe, then we have a competitive asset that can be spent to lure a little bit of interest of Chinese investors into our ports, and being our port a gateway for Europe into the south.
He added the initiative may bring development to the whole world and not just to certain areas.
Relationships are on different levels. Of course, economical levels, which are always the easiest one. And through that, we can build social levels and political ones, because we have seen also in Europe that if we work only on the economical levels, then the perspective of growth is not as stable as it could be if we have also a social common ground and a political common ground. And that's where we are aiming to go with this initiative.
Italy's ports, recently strained by the migrant crisis, are likely to welcome the new benefits from the Belt and Road Initiative.
Now let's turn to some company news.
Microsoft Corporation is looking to tackle the problem of rural internet access. On Tuesday, it put forward a rural airband initiative outlining how best to help the 23 million people living in the rural areas in the U.S. without broadband access. In an online post, Brad Smith, Microsoft's president and chief legal officer, said it's looking to eliminate the rural broadband gap by July 2022. He said that broadband has become a vital part of the 21st century infrastructure, yet many rural Americans are still unable to take advantage of the economic and educational opportunities enjoyed by their urban neighbors. Microsoft estimates that by relying on a mixture of technologies, the scheme would cost between $8 to $12 billion. China's automaker Wuling Motors officially started production Tuesday in its newly built facility in Indonesia. At the launch ceremony, Indonesian Vice President Yusuf Kala said the existence of Wuling Motors in Indonesia will give more choices and good and affordable cars for the people. Xu Feiyun, president of SAIC GM Wuling Motor Indonesia, estimates that around $700 million has been invested into the new facility. The facility can produce up to 120,000 cars per year and provides 3,000 jobs. It will officially launch its MPV Confero S model into the Indonesian market next month. The company works with around 15 international and 20 domestic component suppliers at present. Although this will be scaled up in order to comply with its localization strategy, meaning of 56% of each car will be produced locally.
云天无际，承载梦想。中国南方航空是中国运输飞机最多、航线网络最发达、年客运量最大的航空公司。亚洲第一，全球第三，是南航缔造的业界奇迹。 蓝天壮志情，云海谱华章。
专业的团队，丰厚的经验。
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to the Lake Cook Law Group.
投资理财、法律咨询，芝加哥专业律师团队为您的梦想提供最安全的保障。
Chinese channel. Lesson 35. In this lesson, we will be learning these 6 Chinese characters. From our last lesson, we learned the character mu. If we turn this character 90 degrees and take these 2 vertical strokes out and switch them with a small r from lesson 4. This character is 4. 4 means 4. 14 means 14. This character has 4 in it. If we switch the small r, a slightly bigger r. And put a horizontal stroke on top. This character is xi means west. 西面 means west or the west side. Make it back into mu. First, make this, the green horizontal stroke, longer. The orange vertical stroke, longer. And the purple horizontal stroke, longer. What's this? R means ear. 耳朵 means ears. Turn it back into mu. And a downstroke to the left on top. Switch these 2 strokes with one long stroke with a curved hook at the bottom. Make the stroke longer. And put a downstroke to the left over here and make sheng. Sheng. Sheng means body. 身高 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 means height. Time for a new root character. Two strokes with a 弓 from lesson 10. Zuo. Zuo. Zuo means left. 左手 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 means left hand. Switch the gong with a ko from lesson 13. This character is yo. Yo. Yo means right. 右手 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 means right hand. Okay, it's time to write. Remember when you're writing to follow the stroke sequence. Si. Xi. R. Sheng. Zuo. Yo. The World Cup. Bye-bye, the lesson is done.